The golden retriever refused to drink his water for 9 days. Nobody thought to check the babies. Scout had been a reliable dog in every measurable way for 7 years. He ate at the same time. He slept in the same place. He drank from his bowl in the mudroom with the consistency of a dog who had decided that reliable was a virtue and had committed to it fully. Kenley Morrison had never once in 7 years thought about Scout's water habits, because there was nothing about Scout's water habits worth thinking about. Until the second week of September, she noticed it on a Tuesday because she almost tripped over his bowl, which was still full at 7 p.m. She checked. She had filled it at 6:45 a.m. He had not touched it. She put fresh water in and set it down. He sniffed it and walked away. Scout was 9 months past his last vet appointment, and so she made the appointment. The vet was 6 days out. She set a reminder. In the meantime, Scout was clearly hydrating somehow because he was not showing signs of dehydration, and she concluded that he was drinking from the toilets with a level of discretion that had simply not been apparent to her before. On day 4, her husband, Will, noted that the dog had also been sitting beside the kitchen sink specifically. Not begging, not waiting, just sitting beside it and looking at the faucet. Will said, maybe he knows how to turn it on. He meant this as a joke. He went back to his phone. Their daughter Ivy was 9 months old and thriving by every visible measure. She was eating pureed foods and formula and beginning to trial small amounts of water, which Kenley prepared from the kitchen tap the way she had been doing since Ivy was 4 months old, the way she had been told was fine. The water report was fine. Their neighborhood was an older suburb in the mid-Atlantic states. The house had been built in 1962. She had never had reason to think about the pipes. On day 6, Scout did something he had never done. Kenley was filling Ivy's small water cup from the kitchen tap, and Scout crossed the kitchen and pressed his nose to the cup as she set it on the counter, inhaled for a full 5 seconds, and then, deliberately, with a directness that she found impossible to read as anything other than intentional, he pushed the cup with his nose so that it slid to the edge of the counter. She caught it. She looked at him. He looked at the cup. She put it back. He looked at her. She pressed his nose to it again and pushed it back toward the edge. She stood in the kitchen with a cup of water and a dog who was demonstrating something she did not have a framework for, and she thought, he's thirsty and he's telling me. She put the cup on the floor. He sniffed it and sat down. He did not drink. Her mother-in-law, visiting that weekend, watched Scout beside the kitchen sink on the 7th day and said, that dog needs a water filter. He's sensitive to tap water. Some dogs are. It's the chlorine. Get a Brita. Kenley bought a Brita. She filled it with tap water. She put it in the refrigerator. She filled Scout's bowl from it. Scout sniffed it and walked away. She called the vet on day 8, not for Scout, but because she woke up at 3 a.m., heard and thought about the pipe from the street to the house, and the year the house was built, and the specific way Scout had pushed the cup of water that she was planning to give to Ivy, and she lay in the dark and could not go back to sleep. The county water testing service offered lead screening. She requested a kit. She ran it that afternoon. 3 days later, lead levels in her kitchen, hot and cold lines were 28 parts per billion. The EPA action level is 15 parts per billion. The CDC states there is no safe level of lead exposure for children under 6. Infants are the most vulnerable population. She had been giving Ivy water from those lines since month 4. She sat in the kitchen with the results and looked at Scout, who was sitting beside her in the way that Scout sat beside things requiring his attention. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Dr. Marcus Ellison, Environmental Health Pediatrics, told them at the follow-up appointment that lead-in drinking water produces no taste, no odor, no color detectable by humans at the levels present in older residential plumbing. Dogs possess olfactory sensitivity to heavy metal compounds and water. Lead ions produce subtle chemical changes in water chemistry that alter the scent profile at concentrations below human perception. A dog who stops drinking from a water source may be responding to a contamination event, and a dog who responds to a specific infant's water with avoidance behavior is likely detecting the same source of contamination. He looked at them. Your dog did not drink from that water for 9 days. He told you about the baby's cup. You should get her blood lead levels checked. Ivy's blood lead was at 3.2 micrograms per deciliter, below the intervention threshold, but detectable. Dr. Ellison said, if she had continued drinking from this source through her first year and into toddlerhood, these levels would have risen to where we would be having a very different conversation about developmental outcomes. He paused. What made you test? Has your dog ever refused food or water without any explanation? and you eventually understood why. Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. They had the pipes replaced. It took 4 days. A professional flush of the lines. Bottled water until the retest came back clean. On the day the retest confirmed safe levels, Kenley filled Scout's bowl from the kitchen tap and put it in the mudroom. She went to the living room to get Ivy. When she came back, the bowl was half empty. Scout was in his place beside the mudroom window. He looked at her the way he always looked at her, steadily, completely, with a patience she had spent 9 days trying to read correctly. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. The next story begins with a dog who refused to let his family through the front door on a specific Tuesday morning. They had no idea what was waiting for them on the other side. Ivy is 14 months now. She drinks filtered water, tested quarterly. Scout drinks from the mudroom bowl the way he always did. The way a reliable dog drinks from a clean source, without drama, without ceremony. With the complete satisfaction of an animal whose assessment of the world has once again proven accurate, he finishes. He goes to his place by the window. The house is clean. He already knew.